All right, welcome back. This is episode 4 of Inside the Herd, where we give prospective students kind of an inside look of Amherst College. I'm with Leah Schmalzbauer, the absolute best Amherst has to offer. I just want to give a quick congratulations. We just figured out that our son got into Dartmouth, so
yes,
congratulations.
Thank you.
Should be very happy.
Super happy, super relieved.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about what you do at Amherst.
So I'm a sociologist. I'm a professor of sociology and of American studies, and recently stepped into the position as one of the associate provosts and associate deans of the faculty. And also have worked really closely with athletics as the faculty athletics rep on campus. So those are my roles. I've been a department chair. I've kind of, been positioned differently around campus.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about your role as an athletics liaison, and what did you kind of do? Which teams did you help? Talk about that a little bit, please.
Yeah. So one of my favorite roles on campus was working with athletics.
Yep.
So the NCAA mandates that every NCAA institution has a faculty athletics rep, and so we've always had one. But the former provost, Catherine Epstein, wanted to enhance that role and to actually have it be a role that worked on strengthening culture on campus between students, between faculty and coaches, and to just do more educating for those who aren't in athletics about what athletics is doing. And she asked me if I would be interested in the role. And so I didn't really hesitate. I have always wanted to be working more closely with athletics on campus. So for about, I guess, almost 2 years, worked closely with Don Falstick, the athletics director, worked with coaches, worked with athletes, and also with faculty, and just trying to bridge communication to, bridge any divides on campus between athletes and non-athletes. And
we just had the event.
Had a great event to just really talk across athletics and non-athletics on campus. And so it's been a great role, and I've just learned so much. My faculty friends will have heard me talk about just how much I've learned from coaches about educating and about teaching resilience and grit, and it's just been great. I've learned so much. So I think we should maybe talk a little bit about the event that you just led with Jen Chucks and Title IX and the DEI office, and we worked with athletics. So we just had an event, which was, what was it, Bridging the Divide? Bridging the Divide, a conversation
about bridging the divide, where a couple students and I was on the panel. We held an event pretty much talking about any institution you go to, especially smaller campuses. You will kind of notice like the athletes and the non-athletes, it's a thing. It's a thing. It's just a thing. It's wherever you go, but on smaller campuses, it's more prominent. So a place like Amherst, where it's 1,900 students, it shows itself. It reveals itself, and we have been kind of discussing on how to break down that divide. It's been going on forever. This is not like a new thing. This isn't like somebody goes to Harvard, is it like, wait, what? You're telling me that like the students don't like the athletes, or vice versa? But with Amherst, we're such a small school where it's like a lot of like the parties are kind of hosted by athletes, and a lot of the spaces are kind of dominated by the football team or swim team, whatever, stuff like that. So you have been exceptionally amazing at kind of working with students because you have both sides. Like, you're a professor, but then also you work a lot with the athletes. I think that's something you're passionate about, and your kid. He's going to be doing skiing. He's a skier, which is so. I'm from Florida. I'm like, you're telling me you get to go to college to ski? I'm like, that's the coolest thing ever. God, that would have been nice.
It's pretty cool. So I've seen the issue through different lenses, as a faculty member, as an athletics rep, as a parent, and I think my goal has been to bring people into conversation. And so one of the best parts, in my opinion, about the event we held is that leading up to it, we met regularly with a rotating group of athletes and non-athletes to just talk about what are the issues, how do you, issues on campus, how do you feel in different spaces, and what systemic things need to change, what is just on individuals to do more to reach out. We've
that was my big
and really trying to get different, different voices at the table. And so that was really wonderful. And Jen Chucks is fantastic. And and Fabio Ayala from the Center for Restorative Practices has also been just central. Megan Lennon from Student Affairs. So just getting people at the table who all really care about this and how to strengthen our community. So it's good. And now Chris Durr, who's moved into doing faculty athletics rep as I've moved into the provost office, is also continuing to do that work. So it's, we had the conversation, but it's not done. Now we want to think about what should we be doing. We collected a bunch of notes and captured voices, and we'll keep doing the work.
Yeah. No, I think it was a great first step. It was a great first step, and I'm glad that we kind of got the conversation started. And I think what I really emphasize is kind of my ideology with a lot of stuff is it takes students to solve stuff like this. It's hard for an overseeing body or an institution to really bring a lot of the changes that we need to make happen. It comes to us. This is I'm not saying this is our school, but we create the culture here a lot. The body, Amherst, the administrators and the professors definitely have a large role, but on the weekends, they have no impact on that. So that is something that kind of we need to recognize. We have a role to play in this, and I hope. I think it was a great first step. And we're definitely working diligently to solve a lot of those problems.
For sure. And this, it just reminds me of just a larger theme. Amherst students they have a loud voice on campus. They have a powerful voice.
Well, it's a small campus.
Sometimes I don't know if they recognize how unique their voice is on campus. How many places will the president sit down with you in the cafeteria and say, let's talk? Or you can say, President, can we meet? And you'll get a meeting.
It's insane.
With the dean of students. And the students sit on committees that students are really informing and leading us. Often it is students that are leading us in terms of making changes on campus. And then the campus and the college has been really flexible in responding to that. So it's been it's one of the most exciting things I think about being here.
For sure. No, it's insane. I hosted President Elliott on week 1. I'm a huge fan. But the other day, there was a conservative professor from Williams who came and spoke, Professor Paul. Really interesting conversation. He was kind of talking about academia and the current administration's kind of recent actions. But after I went to dinner with him, a couple other people on campus, and President Elliott, and then after I emailed him at 10:30 at night, I was like, hey, I kind of have something I really want to talk to you about. Could I maybe meet with you tomorrow morning? He's like, yep, come to my office at 8:30. And then I talked to him in the morning. It's insane. But it's not just the president. He's oh, it's the president, but it's you, it's anybody. All of the faculty and professors here are extremely flexible, and generally are just interested in their students' lives too, which I think is funny. Shane Dillon, who we both love, we love Shane. He was talking about how kind of crazy it is that he says that he'll email his professors or stuff, and he'll just be like, hey, this is just a personal matter. This is not student Shane, this is human Shane. And I want your advice as a mentor. And I think a lot of people here are extremely interested in helping their students.
I think that's why, faculty choose to come to a place like Amherst. I think that you choose to come to a place where you're going to be in relationship with students as teachers, as mentors, but also invested in them as humans. And I think my friend Sheila Jaswell in STEM, who does Being Human in STEM, it's I'm invested in you as a scientist and as a human being in the field of STEM. And what do you need to thrive as a human being? And to be in an institution that really values that piece of it, and we value the whole student. So there have been many conversations in this office that have had nothing to do with students and have had nothing to do with their coursework, but about how they're dealing with life in that moment as a student. I think that's a special part about a liberal arts conversation.
I was going to say, I reached for my phone and I didn't have it in my pocket. Let's get to our first question.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's think. So what did you do before coming to Amherst?
So before coming to Amherst, I was a professor at Montana State University in Bozeman, Montana for 10 years.
Yeah.
And so I went through my tenure track at Montana State, a really, really different institution, land grant, more or less open enrollment institution, bigger classes, research focus. I loved it. I loved teaching at Montana State, but it led me here too. So.
Yeah. So coming from Montana State, I'm assuming, I don't know what city is it in?
Bozeman.
Bozeman, okay. How would you kind of compare the city of Amherst? I don't think we've talked about that too much on the podcast. Is like the city of Amherst, what should students kind of expect about like Amherst as a city? Like what can they kind of
I love our little town.
I like it too.
It's so interesting because are we a rural campus? I don't know. Like
I wouldn't say we're rural.
We're not rural.
But it's a small city.
Rural part of the state, but we're a small town, but we're a cosmopolitan small town with a lot of buzz.
Yeah.
So what I love about Amherst, one, that you can walk there from campus.
Yeah.
And that within a small town, you can access a great independent bookstore, great cafes, restaurants, bars, a wonderful music venue, an independent cinema. I mean, things that a great library, right? Where there just aren't many small towns. It's kind of the beauty of a college town, but not all college towns are the same. So Amherst, I think, is a special one, and that we have UMass right next door. You get the buzz of a big university, and you know, there's a big sporting event at UMass. You feel that energy in town. But I also think of it as just kind of a little city within a beautiful natural area. Yeah. So that's how I think of Amherst.
Yeah, I'd say that's super fair. I think it is very much like it's just a little college town.
Yeah.
It's enjoyable. I like it.
Yeah.
It's fun, and it's not like I have people all the time who like go through University of Florida or something.
Yeah.
And then they're like, it's like there's not as much of a like a united culture because it's so spread out. You can go to UF for 4 years and not even see a third of the campus.
Right.
But when you go to Amherst, like it's like, oh yeah, you know that boba tea place like right next to like it's like and of course I know. I've been there like 3 times. Or it's like, you know, oh yeah, you know like the Thai place. It's like, yeah, I know the Thai place. Like it's right there. I know the owner. Like it's like it's
you go to Fresh Side for lunch and you run into people you know, and I run into people I teach with. I run into students, but I also run into community members who are just friends outside of campus. So it's a great place. And then we have this wonderful new, like the Amherst Green that they just redid that I also really like, just to, to picnic or to sit or to walk. So it's good.
Gotcha.
Good little place.
I agree. What about your role as a professor is uniquely rewarding? And then what about the students? Do you particularly appreciate about Amherst?
Yeah.
Because we haven't had a professor on yet. So you're the first.
I'm the first.
You're the first.
Although President Elliott was a professor in his former life, right?
Yep,
and I think
his
he still
life.
is. He's guest lectured in our Progress first year seminar, and he's a great teacher.
That'd be crazy having
he's really
President
good.
Elliott as a professor.
He's really good.
Yeah.
Which I think is telling about Amherst too, that our president is a teacher and a scholar, right?
Yeah.
That really is important to us. I mean, I think your questions are really closely related because I think what I love about teaching here mostly is the students.
Yeah.
I love the engagement of our students and that they're serious thinkers and that they're thinkers who, many of them were drawn by our open curriculum. So they're partnering a passion in STEM, for example, with an interest in sociology or in the humanities. And I like having a classroom that is not just full of my majors, American studies or sociology, but I'm often teaching physics students or neuroscientists. And yet they're really interested in what I'm thinking about in terms of the social world. So I think that is my favorite part about teaching at Amherst. We get a lot of autonomy as faculty to teach courses that we love. So if you're a student at Amherst, you will see courses, you never run out of new and exciting courses because they're being recreated. Faculty are creating new courses all the time and following their passions and their interests.
Yeah.
So that's great. The other thing I really love about teaching at Amherst is that most of us are also really active researchers and scholars, and so we get the support from the college to be both teachers and scholars, and to bring that into the classroom, to work with our students on research as well as teaching.
I was gonna say, I want to ask you a little bit more about that, because so I know like special topics courses exist. This is one.
Yeah, that's right.
Where you can like ask a professor, you say like, hey, this isn't necessarily a class, but this is something I'm interested in, or this is like, you know, I want to do like research on this. Would you be interested in kind of like creating this as a class, and I would work with you on doing a specific thing. And usually professors are very, you know, like, yes, let's do that. Because I think it's a little bit, Amherst is good about it, but I think it's kind of like the open curriculum. I appreciate the open curriculum so much because it allows students like to really dig their claws into what they're passionate about. Like maybe this is like a hot take, but it's like mandatory classes and things you're not interested in, I think are like the worst. Not because it's like it forces you to kind of go outside your comfort zone. I think that's amazing. But it's because like I think like in this life, I mean, you can do multiple things, but it's like, why not spend every day like doing what you're super passionate about? And the open curriculum allows you to explore, but then it really allows you to like control your path. And it's like, we've all done it. I mean, when you go to college, sometimes when you take a class you're not super interested in, you're just like, you're half-assing it. You're like, oh, like, I don't want to do this work. But it's like, when it's a class you're passionate about, it's like every single day you're so excited to go to class and you're excited to do the coursework because you're passionate about it. So I love that about Amherst is like with the open curriculum, but then also like the special topics courses, it really allows you to like work and become educated in something that you're super passionate about and work like, I think that's great. I think education is a lot better when students are excited to learn.
And I think they are. I mean, I think passion is a really good word. I think I see it I definitely see it among our faculty, among my colleagues, but also with our students. And I think, you know, one of the things we really emphasize at Amherst is advising, right? So when there's an open curriculum, having some guidance about how to navigate that is important. And something that I really try to capture, you know, as important when I'm talking to students is how to get that passion a place to be. And so that means taking the classes that you love and that you're super excited about and taking risks. Like if you think, but you know, I've always been really interested in a painting class, but I'm not an artist. You know, we can say, no, try it. Just try it. Go give it a shot. Like you have the room in your schedule to do that. And so to really encourage risk taking and exploration and also focusing in on passion. You know, I seen 18-year-olds to 22-year-olds that are passionate about anything is a beautiful thing.
It's so cool.
It's
really, so cool.
It's really wonderful.
It's so cool. It's such a travesty. People like living. I mean, it was like it was a dumb, like silly, like Steve Harvey YouTube video one time, but I just remember he was talking about it was like jump. That was the title. And he's like, to do anything in life, you're gonna have to jump. Like you are going to have to step outside your comfort zone. And people are gonna be like, why are you doing this? I don't understand. It's like you're going to have to jump. But he's like, every day you wake up and you hit the alarm clock and you're like dreading going to work. It's like, oh my God, like you have one life. That's it. That's it. And to not spend every single day like so excited about what you're doing is just so sad, I think. And a lot of the kids at Amherst, it's like whatever they're passionate about. If it's poetry, it's like that's not my thing. Actually, I love writing, but like I can respect poetry. But like if it's like bird watching, it's like that's so cool. Or just like their niche hobbies and interests. I just think it's so cool. And I think the Amherst student body is super passionate.
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. It's a neat thing, for sure.
For sure. Let's get into our next question.
Okay.
Let's see. I want to talk a little bit about typo, the typo program.
I love typo. The typo program is Take Your Professor Out. We also have a TISO program, which is Take Your Staff Member Out. But typo's wonderful. So students have access to funds to take a professor out to dinner. So it's really fun. It used to be that you could, choose just any place in town. I think since COVID, they're now, I think it's been the Boltwood most recently, But
Really? Okay.
in fact, maybe
That's
there are
nice.
other choices, but it's so nice, right?
Yeah.
So one, you just get to be with your students. It's usually a small group that will ask a professor to go out to dinner. And you just get to be outside of the classroom.
Yeah.
And so maybe you are still talking about things or ideas that are really exciting that they've learned in class. But in my experience, it's also the time to just get to know them as people outside of the classroom. And it's just fun. It's fun. It's such a gift to have this program. And again, I always want to say, Amherst students, do you know how lucky you are to be able to just like take your professor to the Boltwood?
It's so crazy.
It's awesome.
It's so cool.
And then again, you're just building relationships in a new way. And you're not just a teacher, but you are a person who's getting to know them in their life, and that's really special.
But it's like that's one of the best things about Amherst is like
for sure.
You learn. It's so much more enjoyable. Like I just think back. Like I'm not like gonna trash like the way like my high school did it or whatever, because nobody does it like Amherst. Like Amherst is one of one.
Yeah.
There's nobody else like Amherst. But it's like the fact, like one of the things I really detest about academia is, well, not just academia, it's like the entire world, but I'm just like such like a, organic person. But it's like, I hate the idea that like, somebody who I'm supposed to learn with, I'm supposed to like go to class and like sit down and like keep my shoulders up, but like not like make any remarks that might like cross a boundary. It's like, no, like I want to know my professor. I want to talk to them. I want to go to their office hours. I want to say, who are your kids? Where'd you go to vacation over the summer? Like, because I think when you have those like relationships, you can learn better. Like only going to class is the bare minimum at Amherst. Going to office hours and like talking back and forth with the professor, pushback. Professors like getting pushback.
Absolutely.
I'm all my political science classes, like I'm a conservative, but like a lot of my professors, like one for sure is Professor Douglas, Lawrence Douglas.
Absolutely.
Like he respects it. He's like, I wish more students would come to class in a respectful manner. Like it's not like, you go and you're like boisterous and you're being a jerk, but like being like, hey, I really just don't understand this. Like I want you to walk me through your thought process. Because when you understand how other people think and like other people's worldviews, that is how you become like a more well-rounded person, and just that's how the world gets better, is when we understand each other.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really something that Amherst does exceptionally well that the rest of academia doesn't.
And we're talking about how to do it even better. Like how do we create classrooms that foster that kind of engagement where students are challenging each other's ideas, where they're challenging the professor's challenging them, we're learning together, we're stretching together, we're stepping out of our comfort zones together. I mean, that is education. That's what in my view, that is the most powerful part of education, is when that happens. When you have a student say, I've never thought about it that way, or I've never thought about it from that perspective. I've never considered that. I've never considered that. That's important. So I think we do it well, and I think we're also just trying to do it even better. Yeah. For sure.
And I think a really important part about like that, I've never thought about that, which not a lot of people do, is like knowing vulnerability is kind of a good thing. Yeah. Like I always say, and I do it a lot more than other people, but like putting yourself out there and like allowing, maybe like it, provoke some like uncomfortable feelings and uncomfortable conversations. But that is where growth happens. Yeah. If we all just sit, live our own lives, do our own thing, like, oh, well, it's different. I don't want to like, maybe embarrass myself by asking a question or stuff like that. Like in class, professors always say it, like, there's no such thing as a dumb question. Are there such things as a dumb question? Of course. But if you have a culture that like says like, this is a dumb question, or like how far would the world have gone if students were scared to mispronounce a word when reading or something like that? It's like we have to be more comfortable with like not being perfect.
Yeah. Oh,
we have to be better about accepting and acknowledging that perfection, like we can strive for it, but it's okay. Like you are going to make mistakes, and the people that really like make the world go round, they know that and they understand that, and that's, I feel like, one of the big things. I guess one of my other questions was going to be like, what can Amherst do better? Yeah. And maybe that is emphasizing like like take
Yep.
a step outside of your comfort zone.
I think that's
beyond the classroom.
I think that's right. I think, and that goes back to the divide conversation is,
Yeah.
you know, engage with someone who does,
Yes.
who lives life really differently
Yes.
than you, and
Yes.
find out like how they arrived where they are,
Yes.
you know, and instead of just judging who you think they are, get to know them.
I know.
Learn
yeah.
their pathway. Learn
Yeah.
like where did if they think really different than you, instead of judging how they think, figure out how they got to those thoughts.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting way to
Yeah.
learn. As a sociologist, and
Yeah,
someone
this
in
is-
American
it's your
studies, like,
thing,
I
yeah.
think about this all the time. Like, how how do we understand positions from that perspective? So. I think all of academia could do more to just encourage that,
100%.
encourage risk-taking, encourage students to step out of the comfort zone. I think your generation, there's a lot of anxiety, right? I'm a mom, I'm a teacher, I see there's just a lot of pressure, there's a lot of feeling often that, I need to be perfect, so I don't want to take a risk.
Yeah.
And yet, I just think that when I look at the writers, the athletes, the leaders who I look up to most, they often have, started from a place of failure, and then they picked themselves up and they learned and they moved on, or they took a risk and it didn't work, and so they reframed the way they did things. So
Oh my God.
I think
You're like speaking my language right now.
I know
Yeah.
I am. We've talked about these
Yeah.
things too, and I've talked about them with Shane, with other people who, in the divide. It wasn't just about athletics. It was about this. It was like, how do we encourage out of their comfort zone? And whatever we can do, I think, in that regard is really, it's good for Amherst.
I'd love to talk to you more about that.
Yeah, it's good for all of us. It really is. And we are in such a polarized, partisan moment. And yet increasingly, I think it's just not that useful to think about like right versus left and Republican. It's just like let's just think about the messiness of where we are and try to understand each other more and give each other the space to really just express ourselves and our ideas and our questions and our thinking. And if we can do that from a place of trust in a community that we all respect, I think that's where it can happen. And that's why I think Amherst is really special, because I think if you know that this is a place that values that kind of work and that we can trust each other as people, it's a lot easier to do that. So I think that, what can we do better? Anything we can do to build up that community so that we can have these tough conversations. And I know that that's the, student affairs is doing amazing work in that regard. Athletics is doing
We had
work in that
Dean
regard.
Angie on, and she's
Dean
the
Angie's
best.
like the best.
Literally the
like
best. Yeah. I love her
we
so
are
much.
So
She's
lucky.
great. Yeah.
To have the team that we have. I mean, and that's something I also just think of often is in this moment, we have such a good leadership team on this campus.
No, they are. I say that I'm very
really
optimistic.
feel that.
I'm optimistic about and I, it's kind of my, personal mission or whatever, but in a world, as a conservative, where, the crackdown on academia is kind of occurring, I am very critical that academia needs to change. But at the same time, I think Amherst can emerge as, the role model, as, kind of the shining, house on the hill. I think we, really do have the opportunity to become one of the institutions that really other people start turning to. I mean, we are, number one, number two liberal arts college in America. I think that we could become one of the places, because it's easy. It's so much easier to start at a small level. When the professors, when I can go to the president and be like, listen, if you want solutions, I can really help you get there, because I'm very passionate about this cause, and I do love Amherst. I love Amherst so much. I love Amherst. I'm starting a podcast to convince students to come here. But that doesn't mean it couldn't be better. And academia as a whole, this isn't an Amherst issue.
No.
It's the entire country. It's not an academia issue.
No.
It's the entire country. It's just that academia is supposed to be we're supposed to be better. That's what we always talk about. Is we're supposed to lead the next generation. And if we are just as bad as the rest of the nation, how are we going to lead? How are we going to mold the next generation's leaders if we are we need to be better. We need to be better.
Yeah. And I think what a place like Amherst, and not just Amherst, but I think what a small institution can do is respond. I mean, one of the the things I appreciate most about Amherst. I have been here now for 10 years, and there have been challenges. I mean, I was here for the Amherst Uprising. It was one of the most powerful things I experienced
in 2016?
On campus, yeah. And I just
It was your second year here.
I got here in the fall of 2014, and I watched the campus respond.
Yeah.
You know, I watched people go to work and say, how can we be better? I think we're in a moment now where we're trying to, you know, figure out a way to have conversations across different ideas, across different backgrounds, across difference, across inequality, and watching the college say, okay, how do we do this? Like, let's figure this out, and let's, you know, talk as faculty, let's talk as students, let's talk, you know, administrators, staff, and that's the kind of institution, you know, that I really want. I'm just really grateful to be a part of that.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist everywhere. It can't. I mean,
No, it doesn't.
So we're really lucky to have the independence to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into our next question. We kind of just talked about like this, but if you had to say your favorite thing about Amherst, I mean, we just kind of talked about what makes Amherst so unique and special, but if you had to like kind of pick one thing that's different from other places, what would it really be?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the word would be access. So one, I mean, I could start with one of the reasons I came here is because of, you know, Amherst tries to be accessible to everyone independent of their background and independent of their ability to pay the Amherst price tag, but also access to each other. You know, that before I was in any kind of administration position, I still felt like I could go talk to our dean and provost. I could talk to our president. I talk to my students outside of class. They talk to me. I bring my family to the dining hall. So that access, I think, is really special. Yeah, for sure. Even, you know, now with the Greater Good initiative, we have the Center for Community Engagement on campus, which is also incredible. Sarah Barr, a leader I look up to in so many ways.
Who's Sarah?
Sarah Barr, who's the head
I don't think I know her.
You need to know Sarah. Sarah should be on this podcast. Oh my gosh.
Make it happen. Let's make it happen.
So, Sarah is our connection to the town of Amherst and to the community.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And even that access, like bridging that divide, talking about divisions, and finding ways to work more closely with the town and the institutions within the town. So that's, I think that's something that's really special, is just, you know, the access I have to so many different aspects of the institution and of the region and the community is just really, really special. So.
Interesting. Those are the main points I kind of wanted to hit. You want to talk about anything else, or?
No, I'm glad you're doing this. So,
gotcha.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about who else you're going to bring on.
I mean, I guess so. I think very soon. I think Shane. Shane is going to. I know. You cannot talk about the campus without talking about Shane.
Absolutely.
Shane Dillon is he was the vice president last year of the student government. He's going to be the president next year. He's the best. He is one of my favorite people.
And he grew up in Springfield.
And he grew up very close to Amherst.
He's a first-gen college student.
Yeah.
He is
Shane's the man.
Shane
is the man.
He just bridges divides in so many ways.
He's incredible.
He's critical, but he's open and he's thoughtful and
he's the best.
Fun. And so he was my advisee, and I met him like his first day on campus, and I was like, oh, we're gonna get along really well.
So funny story, when I came to Amherst and I was doing like the whole freshman orientation thing, he was like the group leader, like day one.
Oh,
and I remember thinking it was so funny, because I'm not going to share the story, but we were talking about something. I was like, that is very interesting that a student, you know, just said that or whatever. And I was just like, and I kind of talked to him a little bit, and we kind of hit it off like day one. And now it's like, I mean, I was talking to him yesterday, like just chilling in his room, hanging out.
I know, and now you're such close friends.
Yeah, he's the best. So he's going to come on. I'm trying to think, who are some other people I should have on?
Oh, goodness.
There's so many.
There are
it's
so
hard.
many.
It's hard to even like
There are
start.
So many.
Yeah.
And so many great staff people.
Oh. You know Renee?
Oh, in Val.
Yes.
In Val, Renee.
I want to have her on. I'm going to text her today. She's one of the best, and she would be I think like our first like staff to come on
Renee's
the
awesome.
podcast. She's
Renee's
the best.
awesome.
Yeah, she's
Absolutely.
a staple of Amherst.
Such a, and for the energy.
Yeah,
like
I need to
anytime you
have her
enter a room and you just feel
everybody
good
just loves her.
energy,
Yeah.
and that's what I think about with
Everybody loves
Renee.
her. Yeah,
And
no,
I
she's the
also
best.
see her at games and just activities around campus with her husband Ryan Alvarado, who's also fantastic. And she'd be great to have on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should have EJ Mills on.
Yeah, I actually talked with him about it as well.
Jen Chucks would be great to have on. I mean, there's so many people in this campus. I mean, that's the thing.
There's so many people.
And I think about the people who I'm close to on this campus. They're in so many different places, right?
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen. I mean, having been at a bigger public university, I rarely stepped out of the social science little bubble that I was in. But here my friends are from all over campus. I've taught with people from all disciplines, and it's just really fun.
Yeah.
So.
And I think it kind of goes back to that point is a lot of people at Amherst can really find each other interesting because a lot of them are interested in something that you have never even looked into, but they're so passionate about it and they love it. And just a conversation with somebody about astrology is this is the coolest thing I've ever talked about.
Yeah, like two of my best friends on campus, Joe Trapani, Sheila Jaswell, biologist, chemist. I never knew that people were really passionate about science. I'm like,
about biology and
just
chemistry.
Did it because they were good at it, and then I really got to know Sheila and Joe. I was like, oh my God, they love what they do.
That's great.
Like they just radiate passion when they talk about what they do, and when they're in the classroom, they're so.
It's so funny. That's the same with me. Is people always because I'm super into politics, and people are like, why the hell? It's so disgusting. I'm like, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm super passionate about doing is, opening like civil discourse, making academia a place where we can share ideas.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of all I wanted to talk about.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, this was great. This was unique.
Appreciate it.
You're the first professor. And I guess next week, hopefully, will be Shane Dillon. I talked to him about doing it over the break.
Shane, President Dillon.
Yes, President Dillon. But anyways, this was the 4th episode of Inside the Herd, and I really hope you enjoyed learning something new, getting to know Professor Schmalzbauer, who is the best Amherst has to offer. I say that every single episode, but you are. I'm serious about it this time. I'm serious about it this time. Professor Schmalzbauer is the best. You should take a class with her, and go Mammoths.
Great, go Mammoths.